Hello, today we are going to talk about factoring out a monomial. In other words, we're going to look at the greatest common factor. Now, when you're thinking about the greatest common factor, what I want you to think about is, what is the highest number that can be divided into all terms. Also think about what is the smallest exponent that can be divided from all terms. Now, using that information, we're going to look at our number 1 here, and what we have is 6y cubed plus 4y squared. Now, I'm going to kind of break these down for a little bit, and then we're going to get to where we don't break them down so far as we go on. So if I think of the number 6, the factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3, and 6. 1 times 6 gives me 6. 2 times 3 gives me 6. Also, the factors of 4 are 1, 2, and 4, because 1 times 4 gives me 4, and 2 times 2 gives me 4. And let's think about y. So in the first term, y to the third, we're looking at y multiplied by y multiplied by y. In the 4y squared, we're looking at y multiplied by y. So here, what we want is the largest number that both terms have in common. So the largest number is 2. That would be the greatest common factor. And the smallest number of y's they have in common is 2. So when we look at the greatest common factor of 6y cubed plus 4y squared, it would be 2y squared. Again, because 2 is the largest number and the smallest number of exponent is y squared. Now what that leaves us is 3y plus 2. And if I check this, it should come out to what I have here. And how do I know what should go in the parentheses? It should be the other factor. So I know 2 times 3 is 6. So because I brought out the 2, I leave in the 3. And I had 1y left over here. Here, for the 4, I brought out a 2 as well. So 2 times 2 is 4. This is the other 2. So again, if I check this, 2y squared times 3y is indeed 6y cubed. 2y squared times 2 is positive 4y squared. So that checks out for me. All right, let's take a look at the next one. So we've got 6a cubed minus 4a squared. We're going to break down 6 again into 1, 2, 3, and 6. And a cubed we're going to break down to a times a times a. And then 4 we're going to break down into 1, 2, and 4. And a squared we're going to break down to a times a. So again, we see that the highest number they have in common is 2, and the smallest number of exponents they have in common is also 2. So we're going to write our answer as 2 a squared. What we have left over is 3 and 1a, so 3a minus, here's the 2 that's left over. And if we check it, we've got 2a squared multiplied by 3a, that gives us 6a cubed. 2a squared multiplied by negative 2 gives us negative 4a squared. That checks out. Here's our next question. All right, this time we've got 10h cubed minus 4h squared. So the factors of 10 are 1, 2, 5, and 10, because 1 times 10 is 10, 2 times 5 is 10. And then we have h cubed, which is h multiplied by h multiplied by h. And then we have 4, which is, the factors are 1, 2, and 4. And we have h squared, which is h times h. So we're going to do our process. We're looking for the largest number that both factors have in common. Again, that's 2. And the smallest number of exponents they have in common is h squared. So our answer would be 2h squared. And left over we have 5 and 1h minus 2. If we check it, we've got 10h cubed, because 2h squared times 5h. 2 times 5 is 10. H squared times h is h cubed. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. And then we just tack on the h squared. All right, here is our next problem. We've got 4h cubed minus 6h squared. The factors of 4 are 1, 2, and 4. The factors of h cubed are h multiplied by h multiplied by h. The factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3, and 6. The factors of h squared are h times h. So again, we see that our largest factor is 2. The smallest number of exponents we have in common is 2. So our answer would be 2h squared. And we have a 2 left over. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then we have minus 3, because 3 times 2 is 6. I forgot the h here. All right. Let's continue on. We have 3q cubed plus 9q squared. So we know that 3 times 1 is 3, and 3 times 3 is 9. So the largest factor would be 3. The smallest number of exponents is q squared. That leaves me with q plus 3. And if we check it, 3q squared multiplied by q is 3q cubed. 3q squared multiplied by 3 is positive 9q squared. So again, that checks out. Here's our next one. We've got 10u cubed minus 8u. We know the factors of 10 are 1, 2, 5, and 10. The factors of 8 are 1, 2, 4, and 8. The largest factor they have in common, number-wise, is 2. The smallest number of exponents they have in common is just a u. That leaves us with 5u squared minus 4. Let's check it. 2u multiplied by 5u squared. 2 times 5 is 10. U times u squared is u cubed. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. Therefore, 2u times negative 4 would be negative 8u. Is that what we started with? Yes. So we're finished with that one. Now we've got 4m squared plus 8m. Again, that's 4m squared plus 8m. And hopefully you're seeing that the largest common factor would be 4, because 4 goes into 4 and it goes into 8. The smallest number of exponents is m. That leaves us with m plus, what times 4 gives us 8? 2. So this would be our answer. 13d squared minus 9. Well, here's the thing. If you think about 13, it's what we call a prime number, meaning only 1 and 13 go into 13 evenly. Well, none of those numbers besides 1 goes into 9. If we divide both by 1, we get the same answer. So notice what the instructions say. Factor out the greatest common factor. If the greatest common factor is 1, which it is, just retype the polynomial. So that's exactly what we're going to do. All right, we've got 3q cubed plus 16. Well, the factors of 3 are 1 and 3. The factors of 16 are 1, 2, 4, 8, and 16. Notice that the only thing they had in common was 1. So, because we don't have a factor larger than 1 that's common to both, we're just going to retype what we have. So it's 3q cubed plus 16. All right, let's look at this one. Now this one I am going to write down. I'll be back in a minute. I hope while I was gone you could see automatically what the factors or the greatest common factor is. It has to be 3 because the largest number that goes into 3 is 3. So we can take a 3 out, divide it out or factor it out. The smallest number of exponents is h squared. And what's left over then would be 5h. And here what's left over would just be h. Now let's check it. 3 times 5 is 15. H squared times h is h cubed. And then 3h squared times h is 3h cubed. That is not what that says. So this should not be an h. Hopefully you were like, no, Miss Clark, that's not right. It should be a 1. Because 3h squared times 1 is 3h squared. There we go. Now we can check it off. Can you see my 1 right there? Okay. So let's go ahead and put that in. Then we've got 11a squared plus 1. Well, 11 is also a prime number. The factors that go into 11 evenly are 1 and 11. The factors that go into 1 evenly are just 1. And our greatest common factor is 1, so we're just going to retype. Now we've got 24a to the 5th plus 6a to the 4th. And if you know your multiplication tables, you know that the factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3, and 6. The factors of 24 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. So let me write that because maybe you heard what I said, but it was like, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. 6 is 1, 2, 3, and 6. So this time, our largest factor is going to be 6. And our smallest number of a's is going to be 4. So our answer here would be 6a to the 4th, and that would leave us with 4a plus 1. Let's check it. 6 times 4 is 24. a to the 4th times a is a to the 5th. 6a to the 4th times positive 1 is positive 6a to the 4th. Is that what we started with? Yes. Let's go ahead and put that in. Then we've got 17y plus 42. Well, 17 again is a prime number. So 1 times 17 gives us 17, but there's no other numbers that we can think of that go into 17 evenly. So we're just going to retype this. And then we've got 30m to the 4th minus 6. Well, hopefully you're thinking, bing, 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 bing. 6 goes into 30 evenly. So we could think of this as 6, but we don't have any m's right here. So we can't take out any m's, so that would be 6 times 5, m to the 4th, minus 1. And if we check that, 6 times 5 will give us 30, and then 6 times 5m to the 4th would give us 30m to the 4th. 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. I didn't write it down, so I just kind of have to check here in my screen, and that's what I have. So let's go ahead and type that in.